Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Block Thrasher Daily Crypto Update. I know you might be looking at the market and you might be noticing that there's a bit of red. The total market capitalization is down 4.3% and we're seeing red across the board. But listen, it's not a crash and tickety boo. Tickety boo. It's going to be fine. TICKETY-BOO. Word of the day. It means fine. It means okay. It's kind of like a Hakuna Matata. Don't worry. Tickety boo. Currently, Bitcoin is at $36,770, down 4.8%. Ethereum is also down 5.5% to $2,250. Binance Coin is down 4.0 to $340.68. Shoot, look at Tether. It's even down 0.3 to 99 cents. We've got an interesting story about stable coins today, a stable coin and the potential dangers of stable coins. That's coming up. You're going to want to hear about that. Binance down 4% to $340. Cardano down 4.8% to $1.43. Dogecoin down 5.4% to 29 cents. XRP down 4.9% to 80 cents. Polkadot down 8.4% to 21.22. Polkadot's kind of on sale right now. Most of these are down 4 or 5%. Polkadot down double that. Bitcoin Cash down 5.6% to 571. Litecoin down 4.9% to 160. Uniswap down 7.5% to $20.59. And Solana also on sale. And Chainlink down 9.8% to $36.47. Chainlink is at $21.73. Super solid project there, Solana. This might be a good buying op. Same for Polygon. Polygon down 9.6%. Now, one standout here is Theta Network. Theta Network has actually been holding on. Still up on the week. One of the few that are still up on the week. Theta currently trading at $9.10. An internet computer living up to my projections continues to fall in market cap. It's now down at number 20. Very far from the top 10 where it did reach momentarily. Currently down 4 points. I've down 23.5% on the week to $50.77. Hey, we need some good news. Do we have any good news out there? Yes, we do. Bitcoin crowd FUD, quote, begin to take hold, signaling potential buying opportunity according to Santiment. Santiment being one of my favorite analytics companies. Cryptocurrency insights from Santiment has revealed that traders on BitMEX are increasing their short positions against Bitcoin, which could be a, quote, great sign for those waiting for markets to turn upward again, as prices tend to increase when crowd FUD begins to take hold. This is an axiom that we've explored repeatedly over and over and over again. We've often said, when everyone is panicking, that's the time to buy. When everyone is exuberant, especially irrationally exuberant, that's the time to sell. Rates in negative levels over the last few weeks, hitting their lowest level in 14 months. The data implies that after each major funding rate drop, the price of Bitcoin tends to move upward. On Twitter, popular pseudonymous analyst blockchain backer noted that the last time Bitcoin short sellers were as confident shorting the cryptocurrency as they are now was after a major sell-off, which then saw Bitcoin surge to a new all-time high near $64,000. After last month's price plunge to a low of $30,000, short sellers have increased their positions once again, implying a short squeeze could be seen in the near future. Bitfinex data shows that short interest recently skyrocketed to levels that hadn't been seen since 2019. In a separate tweet, Santiment revealed Bitcoin has been ranging around the $39,000 mark as crowd optimism has been slowly dwindling, which could be a good indication of crowd fear opportunists can pounce on. The firm elaborated, replying to a user saying a great trading strategy could be buying when the crowd is fearful and selling when it is euphoric. Social sentiment data for XRP, Cardano's ADA, Ethereum, and Polkadot has started flashing a buy signal. Sentiment data showed earlier this month. On social media, the firm noted cryptocurrency traders had started taking a bearish stance on these four altcoins, which means it could be time to scoop up more assets. I agree with all of this wholeheartedly. Of course, no one knows. No one can predict the cryptocurrency market. I don't care if you're the greatest technical analysis genius in the world, or if you somehow, unless you have the ability to see into the future, but even if you are incredible at analyzing the news and the crowd sentiment, the crowd sentiment, go analyze that, or technical analysis, or whatever it is that you're using, you're going to get spanked by this market. Speaking of getting spanked, Mark Cuban calls for stablecoin regulation in wake of Iron Finance, quote, bank run. And here's what I wanted to talk about today with the stablecoin issue that I mentioned. After a bank run on the Iron Finance protocol cost him dearly, Mark Cuban is calling for regulation to define what a stablecoin is and what collateralization is acceptable. You know, it's sad that this event occurred. It's sad that a number of people lost their money. But it's also really great because it illustrates a huge problem, not only with stablecoins, but with our entire banking system. One of which most people are completely unaware. And it's good almost that it stays that way, because if the world, if the people, if the populace became aware of just how risky and how fragile and dangerous ultimately our banking system is, it would be over. It would be the end. Let's look at this story and talk further about that. After a bank run on the Iron Finance protocol cost him dearly, Mark Cuban is calling for regulation to define what a stablecoin is and what collateralization is acceptable. Billionaire investor and DeFi proponent Mark Cuban has called for stablecoin regulation after losing money on what he dubbed as a rug pull on the Iron Finance protocol. According to Iron Finance, the partially collateralized stablecoin project was the subject of a historical bank run that resulted in the price of the Iron stablecoin moving off peg. As a consequence, the price of Iron's native token, Titan, crashed by almost 100% over 2 days from its all-time high of $64.04. Titan is not the stablecoin. Titan is the coin that is connected to the Iron stablecoin. All right, just to make that clear. Speaking with Bloomberg on June 17th, Cuban blamed himself for being lazy and not doing enough research, but also raised questions surrounding the regulation of stablecoins. Regulation of stablecoins. Why would regulation be necessary? Let's dive into this a little bit and talk about it. There should, according to Cuban, he says this, there should be regulation to define what a stablecoin is and what collateralization is acceptable. Should we require $1 in US currency for every dollar, or define acceptable collateralization options like US treasuries? Continuing on, Cuban said, even though I got rugged on this, it's really on me for being lazy. The thing about DeFi plays like this is that it's all about revenue and math, and I was too lazy to do the math to determine what the key metrics were. Is there an opposing voice? Yes. Kraken CEO Jesse Powell has slammed Cuban on Twitter, highlighting that a lack of stablecoin regulation is not the problem. Amen. I agree with Jesse. Not doing your own research and YOLOing into a terrible investment because your time was worth more than your money is your problem. The stablecoin sector is currently under the spotlight from U.S. lawmakers as they consider how to regulate the rapidly evolving sector. In December 2020, a bill dubbed the, quote, Stable Act was introduced, which would require stablecoin issuers to obtain a banking charting and comply with the traditional banking regulations. Again, not going to solve the problem. After the crypto downturn last month, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell emphasized on May 20th that as stablecoins use increases, so must our attention to the appropriate regulatory and oversight framework. So see, here's the thing. You know what? Let's finish reading this before I comment on it, because some of what I'm going to want to say is covered. In a blog post dubbed Iron Finance Post-Mortem, 17 June 2021, the project noted that it is planning to hire a third party to conduct an in-depth analysis of the protocol so that it can understand all circumstances which led to such an outcome. Iron is a partially collateralized, this is the important part here. Iron is a partially collateralized stable coin, that's a mouthful, intended to be pegged at $1. The stablecoin is collateralized by a combination of its native token Titan and the USDC stablecoin. The ratio of USDC to total iron supply is dubbed the collateral ratio, CR. So here's where they got into trouble. This thing is not collateralized even by US dollars. It's collateralized by this pairing of Titan. It's a native token, which is traded openly and obviously therefore volatile, and the USD stablecoin, which is not supposed to be volatile, being another stablecoin. The ratio of USDC to total iron supply is dubbed collateral ratio, CR. So this is what got them in trouble. After a mass sell-off from whales, which caused the price of Titan to drop down around 30, the iron stablecoin also dropped below its $1 peg. As the protocol relies on a time-weighted average price, TWAP, to determine CR, or collateral ratio, the market activity overwhelmed the CR as it couldn't keep up with the volatility. Whales were able to buy iron at 90 cents and redeem them for 25. Titan and 75 cent USDC, which temporarily pushed the price of Titan to around $50. They then proceeded to cash out their profits, which sent the price crashing. This sparked a panic event or bank run from other investors who also started to cash out, sending the price of Titan down to near zero as of today. So this is why Jesse Powell of Kraken is correct. Why would anyone put their faith and trust in a stable coin, which is using this collateral ratio system that depends or relies on a combination of Titan and the USDC stablecoin? This is just foolishness. Anyone that is relying on a stablecoin should do their due diligence and do their research and should be certain of, or at least know, whether that stablecoin is backed one-to-one, which is in a perfect and ideal world, the way it should be. Every stablecoin should be backed one-to-one, but this is not the reality. This is something you need to be aware of. This is extremely important and absolutely crucial. Before parking a large amount of money in a stablecoin, be sure to understand what the collateralization behind that stablecoin is. And this is the same with banking. Now, here's the distinction and here's the difference. Actually, before I get there, let me just explain something. Most banks are terribly under-collateralized. If every depositor of any major bank, Chase or whoever you want to pick a bank, were to go and try to withdraw their balance on any given day, the bank would immediately be shut down with that kind of a bank run. Why? Because they hold somewhere between 2 and 7% over time. The regulatory compliance for the amount of collateralization that needs to be held has decreased to the point now where it's almost nothing. And this works because everybody knows, every bank knows, that everyone's not going to withdraw their money at the same time on a given day. But if they did, we're talking huge, huge problems. Maybe you've seen It's a Wonderful Life before, and you remember in that episode, in that show, in that movie, I should say, it wasn't an episode, George Bailey has taken over the savings and loan for his father. And one day, there's a run on the bank. And everybody goes and they're trying to get their money. And George Bailey's saying, wait a second, you don't understand. We don't have your money. Your money is in Joe's house, and your money is in his house, and in his house, and his house, and his house. And the people are like, I want my money. And in the movie, Bailey takes all of the money that he had for his honeymoon, and he starts to give out money to the people to save the business, to save the savings and loans. We all know there was a saving and loan crisis that occurred in the U.S. at one point in time based on this. So what has happened? So the way it works now is you've got this very, very, very risky situation going on where banks basically invest, lend out, play with all the depositors' money. They don't have it. They don't hold it. On the understanding that everyone's not going to withdraw at the same time. And they also are backed by this FDIC insurance, right? Which insures deposits up to $250,000. So if there is a circumstance in which too many people try to withdraw at the same time, that insurance kicks in and the FDIC has money. Now, the thing of it is the FDIC doesn't actually have enough money to handle a nationwide bank run. If there was some sort of serious loss of faith in the system and everybody tried to go pull out their money at the same time, ain't gonna happen. It's just not there. Money's not there. So enter into the cryptocurrency space and you've got these stable coins. Now the issue becomes, what kind of fractional reserve system are they operating on? Are they operating on a fractional reserve system? And the thing is, they're not regulated. So they could literally have 1% collateral, 2%, no collateral, and they're not FDIC insured. So there's no protection. So Mark Cuban has no entity to go to. So these are not really cryptos. That's something else that's important to be kept in mind. And where this becomes especially dangerous is an issuer of a stablecoin who claims that it's pegged to the dollar and has a value of $1 could create massive amounts of that stablecoin and go out and start purchasing other cryptos on the market, and all kinds of funny business could happen and could occur here. But for us, the biggest issue is, can we rely upon that stablecoin? Does it have enough collateral to actually ensure that it will maintain its value pegged to the dollar? So do your research, especially if you're putting a large amount of money into a stablecoin, leaving it on one of these platforms like Abra or BlockFi or others to earn interest. Great. That isn't going to do you any good if that thing gets rug pulled or is under collateralized. And when everybody goes to try to withdraw, your money's gone. And then you have no recourse. But the best thing here would be for self-regulation. Ultimately, a stablecoin should be backed $1 to one stablecoin, in my view. That would be the most legitimate and most secure. But even then, it's something that you have to keep in mind. These are not cryptos where the value is determined by holding the asset itself. Keep in mind that these stablecoins may or may not hold that value. They're not like cryptos where they have maximum supply. So do your research. All right, moving on. Grayscale expands its altcoin market presence with 1inch, BNT, Matic, Sol, and others. This is good. This is good news. This is positive. I'm bringing this to your attention simply because this shows that institutional investors, Grayscale being one of the largest, is two things. Looking to DeFi, which means they expect growth in that area, and expanding their investment vehicles into the altcoin space, which is good for the entire cryptocurrency space. Of course, the maxis are not going to be happy about that. The list of newcomers in Grayscale's product line include 1inch, Banecore, Curve, Internet Computer, Kava, Kyber Network, Loopring, Near, Polygon, Ren, Solana, Universal Market Access, and OX. In its official announcement, Grayscale notes that not all of the above-mentioned digital assets will form separate investment products. Apparently, some of the low-volume altcoins will simply expand existing portfolios. Excellent. On this ongoing story, which has been so hot this week, of El Salvador adopting Bitcoin as legal tender and other countries talking about doing the same, a Paraguayan official has confirmed that in July they will legislate Bitcoin. There's no hard information here on what that legislation will look like, but a Panamanian Congressman, Gabriel Silva, has also laid out plans to present a bill in that country as well. He believes that Panama should not trail other nations from the region that have already taken steps to legalize Bitcoin. So El Salvador has already taken this step, and now we have both Panama and Paraguay talking about doing the same. It's looking like South America may become a hotbed for country adoption of cryptocurrency. Now, China is in the news in a big way because they continue with their draconian crackdown on cryptocurrency miners. Also in the news, as a result of that, Alibaba is talking about pulling their cloud computing services for cryptocurrency miners. Electric companies in China are being forced and are complying and are shutting down the mining in China everywhere you look. So what is happening? Miami, the mayor of Miami, is attempting to woo cryptocurrency miners from China. The city's mayor says it welcomes an exodus of miners from China amid a generalized clampdown on the industry, pointing to cheap nuclear energy as a competitive advantage, according to a CNBC report. But here's the issue. Currently in China, the electricity cost is 3 cents per kilowatt hour. In Miami, 0.1 or 10 cents, 0.107, just a little bit over 10 cents per kilowatt hour. So 3 times. 3 times is more expensive. So what does this mean? This means that if it were to materialize, the cost of mining Bitcoin for those Chinese miners is going to be significantly higher. And it's not just the electricity costs, it's also the cost of leasing a facility and all the other infrastructure. It just means that the cheap mining of Bitcoin, which the Chinese have been enjoying, is going away. If anything, this should push the price of Bitcoin up because it's going to be more expensive to mine. Not only is the mayor of Miami trying to woo the Chinese miners, though, many of them are already flocking to Texas. According to this report from bncrypto.com, China has continued its crackdown on crypto mining and is telling more than half of the world's Bitcoin miners to hit the bricks. Texas has become a popular destination for the flood of crypto miners who are fleeing China in the wake of increased regulations from government officials. China is concerned that Bitcoin mining is having a negative effect on energy-rich regulated regions. This is bull crap. Since when is China concerned about environmental concerns? China is continuing to move forward on a national ban on crypto mining. According to CNBC, while the global distribution of mining power numbers for 2021 hasn't yet been tabulated, estimates show that up to 75% of the world's Bitcoin mining is done in China. The mining is concentrated in 4 main provinces. Blah, 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 blah. To nobody's surprise, these bans have already caused a lot of problems. One of those issues is the drop in global hash rate, which puts a value on the Bitcoin network's global computing power. Earlier in 2021, China's average monthly share of the global hash rate was 65%, according to the Cambridge Center for Alternative Finance. The report shows that Xinjiang alone made up 36% of global consumption. While Bitcoin has proven resilient to these hash rate drops, thus far the bans continue to come. Another issue that everyone saw coming was the possibility that some miners would ignore the requests and continue to mine illegally. This has been a particularly persistent issue in Yunnan, and the local authorities have threatened to cut power to those who continue to operate outside the law. The Chinese bans are the result of government promises to become carbon neutral by 2060. Yeah, right. Bitcoin miners are finding a new home in Texas. For those law-abiding Chinese miners who wish to continue operating, a change of venue is required. Texas has become the go-to spot for these displaced mining operations, with companies like Bitmain, BlockCap, Argo Blockchain, and Great America Mining rumored to be just a few migrating to the Lone Star State. CNBC estimated that more than 50% of China's total hash rate could eventually wind up in Texas. According to Dar Bekbov, the founder of Kazakh mine provider Xive, the exodus is already underway, and it could be a huge game changer for Texas. Texas not only has the cheapest electricity in the US, but some of the cheapest in the globe. He goes on to state that setting up a mining company is easy and just requires some capital. If you have 30 million, 40 million, you can be a premier miner in the United States. There's other places in the United States. Last time I looked, Texas wasn't actually the cheapest electricity. I'd want to verify that. But they are, it seems, becoming increasingly friendly, more friendly. It wasn't always the case, but they are becoming more friendly toward crypto there in Texas. Typically speaking, they are friendly towards industry and business, and big business. So it makes sense. Also, they have no income tax. Other advantages Texas provides are an expanding infrastructure based around renewable energy. and politicians who support cryptocurrency. Some of those politicians, such as Governor Greg Abbott, have even gone on record supporting Bitcoin mining. He believes it could be a valuable industry for the U.S. Well, this highlights a number of factors. Obviously, this issue of proof of work mining with Bitcoin is going to be an ongoing issue. It points to the weakness of the system. Weaknesses such as the fact that over 60% of the mining is done by China. Weaknesses due to the fact that you need $30 to $40 million in order to set up a mining facility, essentially, and do it well. I mean, I suppose you can do it for far less, but you have to have hardware, dedicated hardware. You have to be able to move that hardware. If you're in a country like China, which decides to shut down the mining of crypto, and there's a weakness there. That's a vector, an attack vector. The hardware mining, proof of stake cryptocurrencies have no such attack vector. If one holds a large position in a proof of stake cryptocurrency and is providing security to the network and has delegated their stake and needs to move it outside of their current jurisdiction or their country, they can do that easily by just setting up on a server, essentially with a click of a button anywhere around the world. Senator Cynthia Lummis has been in the news numerous times because she is very friendly to cryptocurrency. She said that she will be holding talks with the Biden administration on the topic of Bitcoin, calling the talks encouraging and productive. Lummis said the talks would be held with people responsible for regulating digital currencies. She said she believes in Bitcoin. Earlier on her official Twitter page, she welcomed the NRCC's decision to accept voluntary donations in the form of cryptocurrencies, which we talked about yesterday. Lummis is known as one of the leading proponents of Bitcoin. She believes Bitcoin can play an active role in fighting inflation. It is discussed that inflation in the US, which is currently around 2%, 5%, according to the latest report, could increase even more in the future. Therefore, citizens are looking for an alternative way to protect themselves against inflation. Good work, Lummis. Hopefully we see positive results coming from her efforts. So apparently the U.S. Securities Exchange, the SEC, the Security Exchange Commission, has turned a blind eye to crypto. Maybe. Dashing hopes of greater regulatory clarity for the cryptocurrency industry, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission recently released annual regulatory agenda, which guides the agency's short and long-term work. And it does not mention Bitcoin or cryptocurrency regulations. Well, this just depends on your perspective. Who is it that's asking for regulatory? Who's hoping for greater regulatory clarity? I feel like we already have pretty clear regulatory. Unless something changes, we know that cryptocurrencies are considered digital assets and are taxed as such. I don't know what else is needed. What are these? What is this author looking for? Mandatory KYC or something? I don't know. Anyway, this is mostly a nothing burger story. There's a couple things toward the end. Hester Pierce, who's supposed to be, apparently she's very pro-crypto, and Elad Roisman issued a joint public statement saying the agenda is missing some other important rulemakings, including rules to provide clarity for digital assets. Perhaps the absence of these rules is attributable to the regrettable decision to spend our scarce resources to undo a number of rules the commission just adopted. Isn't that typical? Typical bureaucracy, typical government. Basically what they're saying is, yeah, we'd like to address some of these issues regarding digital assets, but we're too busy undoing things we already did before. Like, oops, that wasn't what we wanted to do. Separately, U.S. Congresswoman Maxine Waters this week announced the formation of a digital assets working group of Democratic members to look into cryptocurrency regulation. Oh boy. Oh boy. The use of blockchain and distributed ledger technology and the possible development of central bank digital currency. All right. If you're not aware of the Cosmos ecosystem, it's something that I want to bring to your attention. We talk a lot about Cardano, Polkadot, Algorand, Solana, some of the others. But Cosmos has, for the most part, been off the radar. However, Cosmos is a very legit ecosystem. It's a very legit project. And we are seeing more and more projects launch on the Cosmos blockchain, which is currently at 37 in terms of market cap, trading at $12.46 today. But I wanted to bring this to your attention. This is an interesting story about the Cosmos ecosystem and some of the projects that are launching on it, which this one analyst believes are ready to take off. A notable crypto trader is spotlighting the scalable blockchain network Cosmos. Atom, that's its token, ATOM, predicting that its ecosystem is about to take off as top automated market maker. AMM on Cosmos Osmosis prepares to launch its first trading pairs this Saturday. So basically what's happening is we're the first Uniswap style DEX or AMM launching on the Cosmos platform known as Osmosis, which means that a bunch of the other tokens that are on the Cosmos blockchain ecosystem will begin trading. June 19th, pseudonymous crypto analyst known in the industry as Altcoin Psycho says tokens connected to Cosmos are likely to explode in value. Altcoin Psycho alerted his 272,000 Twitter followers to a message from Osmosis indicating which assets are connected to the Osmosis platform. Those assets are Atom, decentralized cloud storage project Akash, AKT, environmentally focused Regen Network, REGEN, encryption platform Sentinel, DVPN, interoperable decentralized finance DeFi tool Persistence, XPRT, cross-chain AMM Iris Network, Iris, and the governance token of decentralized open source blockchain platform Crypto.com, CRO. Any asset plugged into IBC, inter-blockchain communication, an end-to-end connection-oriented stateful protocol for reliable, ordered, and authenticated communication between heterogeneous blockchains is going to soar, says Altcoin Psycho. In a recent tweet, he said, in my opinion, Osmosis will be a catalyst for Cosmos ecosystem tokens to go vertical. AMM for Cosmos plus eventual ERC20 wrapped Cosmos tokens. If you want to front run the fun, focus on any of the chains that are connected to IBC. My top three are AKT, XPRT, and most recently DVPN. And here's one of the reasons why, in addition to introducing you to Cosmos if you're not already, and some of the tokens that are running on it, crypto altcoin Psycho, the trader Altcoin Psycho, shares some insight here on his trading and investing strategy, and I agreed with it wholeheartedly. The trader shares that his trading strategy generally focuses on a driving thesis or core belief when investing, often more than technical analysis, TA. He said this, I'm a price action trader, but my biggest winners have always been thesis-driven trades. Betting early on a thesis will significantly outperform a good TA-based entry. Absolutely agree with that 100%. It's the entire reason, actually, why I started the Block Thrasher Daily Crypto Update, is to explore what is happening within the space, within the news, and to hopefully get an advance feeling, like an early feeling, not just feeling, but early information. What is happening out there in this space in order to be able to develop these, what he's calling thesis-driven trades. The way I've always described this is fundamental analysis, where you're looking at new projects. Maybe they're extremely new, but if they have a solid team and they have good technology and they have marketing capabilities and they have a good community being developed around them, you can look at all these factors and you can develop a thesis. Or in this case, you have an ecosystem like Cosmos. The same thing is going on with Cardano. The same thing is going on with Polkadot. So we have this situation in which we've seen with Ethereum how well some of the projects that have launched, such as Uniswap, such as Chainlink, and some of these are actually chain agnostic, so they'll be coming to these other platforms as well. Many of them already have. 1inch, for instance, as an aggregator, is already incorporated a number of these other blockchains. But the thesis-driven concept here that goes along with the fundamental analysis approach of the projects is that the DEX that launches on Cardano, or in this case, this DEX, which is launching on Cosmos, if it becomes the primary DEX and well adopted like Uniswap, will be the next Uniswap. It's a good trading strategy, and I agree with him wholeheartedly. The best trades, the biggest winners, always come from these thesis-driven trades. And it takes work. It takes hard work. See, because there's a lot more surety in research that's based on these, I want to call them empirical truths. You can define this is who the team is, and this is what their history is, and this is what the technology is, and all these types of things, versus technical analysis, which is always an if this then maybe in the past has, but the problem with it is past performance is never an absolute indicator of future activity or future performance. And there's always that black swan event. There's always that whale to manipulate. There's always that statement from an influencer that destroys the technical analysis. And sometimes you can be wrong on the fundamental analysis and on the theses that you develop. But more often than not, you win. Altcoin Psycho also estimates that a bunch of crypto whales are preparing to short the market based on evidence from large short positions on crypto exchange Bitfinex. The Bitfinex whales are still building their giga short position. Almost 50 million added just now. Total notional value of the short is now 1 billion. It seems like the spikes come after each impulse move. I don't see why this isn't a directional bet rather than a hedge. And that just sort of echoes what we saw earlier today from Sentiment. Yesterday, I listened to a 5-hour-long podcast with Charles Hoskinson and Lex Friedman. I highly recommend it. It's a high-level conversation. It's intense. They get into deep issues, philosophical issues about life and also about cryptocurrency. So check it out. But at the end, I've been seeing this quote a couple times floating around this week, and And Lex finished his episode by sharing it, and I wanted to share it with you all as well. If you haven't seen it, I think it's been going around the Twitter sphere, but it's a good one from William Faulkner. And it says, "You cannot swim for new horizons until you have courage to lose sight of the shore." You know, it's interesting. This really spoke to me because in my life, I've gone through some incredibly difficult losses of relationship with people. Not many, but it's happened a couple of times, and major relationships. I've gone through divorce, and it wasn't by my choice or my will or my desire. And it was a painful thing. And, you know, it's interesting. I've also lost other relationships that were very, very dear. And it's one of the most painful things, I think, especially in situations when you don't know the reasons why, or you're just completely ghosted. And we live in this interesting cultural time. Societal thing is occurring where someone takes offense, and rather than going and communicating and working through it like they used to, you know, back in the day, you offended me, I'm gonna declare that as toxic and just cut you off permanently forever, and no more. Ghosted. And that's even harder to deal with, I think, than just loss of relationship when you know the reason why. I mean, if you've done something wrong, you've offended someone, you've hurt them, and you're just obstinate about it, and you're being a jerk, and you just don't care, and whatever, and they, you know, that brings about an end to the relationship, and it's understandable, it's reasonable, and obviously there are situations and times where, for safety's sake or other reasons, relationships need to be redefined, right? And maybe boundaries need to be set up for protection, physically, emotionally, whatever it may be. But there are virtues of old, things like reconciliation and forgiveness, and skills like communication and conflict resolution that largely have been lost. And so when this happens, sometimes in life, it can be completely debilitating for a season. As a person, you may be desperately seeking for restoration of that relationship. You love that person. Maybe it's a child. Maybe you've lost relationship with a child for one reason or another. I've met many young people who've stated, "Oh yeah, my mom or my dad, they said this to me and about the way I was living my life, and I found it offensive, and now they're toxic, and I'm never speaking to them ever again." Or maybe it's been a divorce or any kind of relationship. And you love that person, and you long for that relationship to be restored, but there's nothing you can do about it. It's not in your power. You have a forgiving heart. You have a reconciliatory heart. You have a heart of kindness towards that person. You're willing to let go. But sometimes what can happen is this type of thing can hold you back so much, as you get so caught up in the story, so caught up in the pain, so caught up in the difficulty of the moment. And maybe it's not a relationship. Maybe it's a hope or a dream. Maybe there's something that you for a long time hoped to achieve, and it's just not happening. It's just not occurring. It's just not occurring. But you're locked into this story, and you're fearful to let go of those things because you feel like you're never going to find that love again. You know, you're never going to find someone as beautiful and as amazing and as your wife who left you, or your husband who left you, or you can't replace a child. You know, and that hole is just, you can't let, you know. But the reality is that there are these new horizons out there, new relationships to be built with people who actually want to have a relationship with you. new opportunities in business. So you failed in your old business. But it's time to let go. It's time to burn that ship. It's time to have the courage to lose sight of the shore so that you can swim for that new horizon. Go find that new relationship. Go find someone who's not your actual child, but love someone as if they were. Adopt somebody who also is in a situation where they've been severed from the people in their lives who should care about them and who should love them. I went through this myself. I was cut off from a relationship with my children for a while. And I had this revelatory moment where it was like, all right, I need to get up off the floor. I need to get up out of being curled up in the fetal position in agony and pain, crying my heart out, feeling like it's not fair and it's not right, which it wasn't. And I need to just go out and love people. Do what I can to encourage people. There's a song, it's a great song that says, tell your heart to beat again. It says, yesterday's a closing door. You don't live there anymore. Yesterday's a closing door. You don't live there anymore. Say goodbye to where you've been and tell your heart to beat again. And I don't know, maybe this is not speaking to you in the moment because maybe everything is great in your life, but maybe there's some of you where this isn't the case and maybe you've gone through what I'm talking about or you are going through it now. And sometimes that's what we have to do. We just have to listen. Yesterday is gone. It's a closing door. It's water under the bridge. Close that door. Burn that ship. Have the courage to turn away and lose sight of the shore. Swim off to the new horizons. Say goodbye to where you've been. Tell your heart to beat again. And good days are coming. And opportunity abounds. Get out there. Love people. Build new relationships. Get over the fears of this might happen again or that might happen again or whatever. Start that business. Build your crypto empire, whatever it is. It's my word of encouragement for you today. All right, friends, I hope you have an incredible weekend. It's Friday, June 18th, and we're about to roll into the weekend here. Love and appreciate you all. Hope to hear from you or see you again on the podcast, on the channel tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye now.